Welcome back to another episode of Fight School. Your pilot here, and I hope you're ready to take your time on this one. This is something that I struggle with constantly, but I believe I'm getting better. But it's also a struggle for me, and something I'm currently dealing with is learning how to slow down and rest. So two things: slowing down and resting, and not the typical resting is just like sleeping. Is deeper than that. So today I will bring up the who, what, when, where, and how for why I feel like sometimes we don't rest, or better yet, questions that need to be answered in your own alone time when you're sitting with yourself on my process and how we think about resting and what that looks like. So, to begin with, for me, I'm just speaking for myself. I used to be always in a rush, always not just in my car, but just speeding through life, trying to get here, trying to get there, for big things and for small things. Just head to work, speeding, headed to the gym, speeding, headed to the grocery store, speeding. And I could literally feel it like in my chest, like just maneuvering through traffic. And I think living in a bigger city doesn't help because you don't want to wait. But even in that, I was just rushing through everything. But even before I moved out here, I was just rushing through everything and honestly not getting anywhere. So, for the first thing, who are you rushing for? And then to add to that, who set the timer? So for me, I was rushing for myself and I set my own timer. I put a limit on when something should have been done and no one put that on there but me. I can remember when before I moved out here, I just felt like I had to be at my mom's house and I was less than a man, I was less than a person if I was still living with her. And it wasn't because I just was lackadaisical and I wasn't doing anything. I had graduated and I even started working on my master's degree, but I just felt less than a person because I was still living with her. And not once did she say I need to leave or I need to get my stuff together. It's time for me to leave. It's time for me to get out. I was the only person that put that pressure on me. And something that we'd often do, we're not very nice to ourselves with our words and our thoughts. I think I've talked about that before. But anywho, we're constantly putting this pressure on ourselves to be somewhere or to be somebody that we're not, and to be somewhere that we're not. Not saying that it's a bad thing that you want to achieve that or want to be that thing, but in your current space, you're just not there, and that's okay. But also, who's putting that pressure? Who's putting that pedal all the way down, trying to rush somewhere, and then we get frustrated when we don't make it there during our appointed time that we feel that we set for ourselves. Next, what are you in a rush for? When you get there, what happens? And honestly, it's just my opinion. When you're rushing to something and you get there, I don't think it's as satisfying. Like I said, just my opinion. Because everything's a rush, so you don't even take the time to enjoy the thing that you accomplished because it's on to the next thing. And we're in this constant state of moving but not going anywhere, and we're stressed out. I don't feel like God has called us to be constantly stressed out. Life is going to bring its own pressure, and life is going to bring its own trials, but we kind of add to that. But we don't kind of, we do add to that with our own timeline and our own thoughts of what we should be doing. When do you have to be there? Kind of said it already, but when do you have to be there and why? Why is going to be answered later, but when do you have to be there? And who set that when? Who told you that you had to accomplish this thing at this specific time? And if you're further enough in your mental health journey and you already answered like I did that, like I told myself I had to be there at a certain time. The biggest question out of these five is going to be why. Why did you say I have to be there by 33? I have to be there by 25? Is Is it because society said that? Is it because your parents said that? Is it because you just felt like this was the right time to be somewhere or be with somebody or to accomplish this certain status? Who told you that? And why do you feel like that's important? And what will you accomplish when you get there? And some of these answers aren't probably bad answers, but if you don't even know, then you're just running a race that you're never going to complete. Where do you have to be? You can use that realistically or metaphorically. I have to be at work. Okay. Something I tell myself and my patients all the time, like, that building's not going anywhere. I promise you. That whatever or wherever you have to be is not going anywhere. So where do you have to be? There's nothing wrong with where you have to be, but where is it like established? Where do you have to be at? And last but not least, why do you have to be there, and why is there a limit? So the why and the who are kind of congruent, but why do you have to be there? Is it because you said you had to be there? Is it because somebody else said you had to be there? Is it really that important in the grand scheme of things? Is your why proper? I guess is a better question. I have to be in this house. Why? That's something I had to answer. I'm in my apartment and I was getting frustrated with myself because I didn't have a house, and I had to sit back and answer like, oh, because I'm 30 something and I feel like I should be in a house. Okay, like that's cool. Like I can see if you had like a family and 3 or 4 kids running around and you had a 1-bedroom apartment, that would make sense. But as of right now, it's just you. So why do you need the house? There's nothing wrong with wanting the house, but why do you need it? Just to say I did it. Okay. That's more about you. And I'm still praying for my house. You know. And then the who, what, when, where, how, and why. Have you properly planned for those things? And sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes the answer is no. So I want this car. I want this relationship. I want this job. Are you prepared for it? To the best of your ability, to the best of your knowledge. And sometimes the answer is no. And sometimes the older you get, you can look back in your life and like, I really wanted that thing and I got it and I still wasn't fulfilled. So I guess that's another question you can ask. Will this thing really fulfill you? These are questions we have to sit with ourselves and ask, because we're always rushing. We always want the next thing. And sometimes we're not properly prepared for it, and that's just another stressor. So was it really worth it? All the energy that you put into this situation, was it really worth it? Because you didn't take the time to sit still and rest. So some other guidelines that worked for me and I'm still working on. Sometimes we're in a rush because we haven't planned properly, improper planning. Of course, I know where I live and there's gonna be traffic almost every day. So if I properly plan, then maybe I don't have to rush. I want to sleep a certain amount of hours. I want to get up at a certain time. I want to read. I want to write. I want to pray, and I want to go to the gym before work. Something has to give. So where are your priorities? I personally had to cut back from the game a little bit and go to bed earlier. And honestly, it's probably one of the best decisions I ever made. Doesn't mean I stop doing what I like doing, but I just have to put a limit on it because there's other priorities that are important, like my physical health. And then with my job, my mental health, because I got to work with other people in their mental health. So I can't show up for them by being less than myself because I haven't sown into myself, or because I haven't slowed down and rested. Resting is way more than just physical sleep. It's your mindset. It's the way you approach life. It's the way you think about yourself. It's the way you treat yourself, not only with your words, but with your actions. Always trying to show up for people and never showing up for yourself is never going to work. It'll work, They just get a tainted version of you, and you don't deserve a tainted version of you, and then other people don't deserve a tainted version of you. And sometimes we're in a rush because we lack trust. Once again, for those that believe, we didn't trust God, so we just took it in our own hands. I'm guilty of that plenty of times. It's not happening when I want it to. Well, you wasn't ready for it anyway, but sometimes they give it to you and show you that you're not ready. So once again, are you gonna trust me? Which isn't easy. Like I'm never gonna be the person that says it's always easy to trust him. But when I have, it has worked out for my good. It may not have been on my time, what I thought was appropriate, but his thoughts aren't my thoughts and his ways aren't my ways. And I'm so grateful because I'm ignorant in a lot of areas. Me personally, I know I am. And we're always in a rush to go nowhere. We always, I don't say we always, we constantly involve ourselves in things that may not produce any fruit. And I'm not saying everything because we all divide our time up in certain areas. But all the areas you're sowing seeds in, is it going to provide you in the fruit? It's just something to think about because I've done it plenty of times. I could be investing it with my circle of friends, but I just doom scrolling on my phone. And there's nothing wrong with that because there's time for that too. That might be your form of relaxation, but okay, an hour and a half then went by and my friend needed me or I needed to relax. I need to put my phone down and actually have a clear mind. In my personal opinion, that's another form of rest. No noise. Because I could be stressed about something, but I know my phone is it's going to take me away from that. I get to, zone out for however long by just moving my thumb up. And it's not healthy. And it makes you not deal with reality sometimes. And sometimes we need to deal with reality. Sometimes you need a break from it because life is rough sometimes. But to constantly avoid, and that might be why you're always resting because you're constantly avoiding something. So instead of getting straight to the point, you're taking a detour. And because you're taking a detour, I have to hurry up and get to my destination and pick up the pace. When I could just slow down and get where I'm supposed to get if I would sometimes take the uncomfortable route. You can do everything you want to do and still slow down. I can still go to work. I can still work out. I can still meal prep. I can still make time for the people that I love if I would just slow down. I don't have to do everything all at once. Even though I still do it sometimes, but I try to, and I do a terrible job. I'm a terrible multitasker, me personally. Like, I had to teach myself to stop. Just do the thing that I'm doing. I'm pretty sure I've said it before, but not everything all at once. Just one thing at a time. So yeah, all that moving and all that energy that we're exuding, and we're not going anywhere. When we could be using that same energy and going in a direction if we just slow down. I promise you'll get there. It may not be when you want to get there, but I promise you'll get there if you just slow down and take breaks. Last but not least, I have a list of things because, I can say all this and okay, cool, that sounds cool, Denzel, but how do I actually do that? So, how do you actually slow down? It's different for everybody. Everybody is not you and you aren't everybody. So your form of rest is different from everybody else's. So these things work for me. You might have to find out what works for you. So for me, I had to check my day-to-day priorities. I was too involved in things that weren't providing any rest. If anything, it was probably making me stay up later. And I had to listen to my body. Something that I was very hard-headed on. My body was tired, but I would still stay up. And I don't know if that's a man thing, but I'm just speaking from a man's perspective. oh, I'm resting and that's not good. I need to be get up and doing something. I'm not getting anything accomplished today. And sometimes your day needs to be rest. Accomplish that. Because typical jobs, let's say you work Monday through Friday, and Saturday comes and you feel like you still have to do something, and then Sunday you're probably preparing for the week. So when do you take time for you to restart? We feel like everything else has to rest but us. Our children get to take naps. We even turn off our TVs. We turn off our cars. We don't run our cars 24/7, but we feel like if if I don't do whatever I say I'm going to do, then life is going to explode. And if you're in a season of that, that's fine. But life is not meant to be lived that way. So listen to your body, and of course, my biggest thing is pray and seek guidance, because that's where God had to deal with me at. Like, you're doing too much. In my head, that just didn't make sense. Like, what you mean I'm doing too much? In my head, I'm not doing enough. I could be doing more. And it's like, okay, well, you're proving that you don't trust me because you want things to be in your control. You want things to be in your hands. And for me personally, I done messed that up plenty of times. So, I'm trying, like, here, take this, because I obviously don't know what I'm doing. And ask for help. And I don't know, as soon as I wrote that down, like, ask for help, something that came up in me was like, and take the advice. So many times we ask for advice and we don't take it. And not to say that everybody knows what to do, but you can take what works for you and not take in the whole thing. So I might have said two or three things that resonated with you, and then the rest of it, like, Denzel, that don't work for me. And that's fine. But I've been guilty of that too. Like, pouring my heart out to something and somebody offers me some solutions and I don't do any of it. So I'm wasting their time. Why are you asking for advice and not taking any of it? You haven't tried anything that anybody's giving you. And not to say that's going to work, but obviously you need help because whatever you're doing isn't working. But you want somebody to hear you out, but you don't want an actual solution to your problem. So that's something to think about. But last but not least, I just encourage you to actually rest. Life is going to happen, and you're not meant to live life alone, and you're not meant to live life always on the go. So maybe you have a second job. Do you really need a second job? Or do you just need to manage your money better? Do you really need to go to that place, or you've built up to yourself to be this person that always shows up? You really don't want to go, but I've always went and I've always showed up, or because they asked me, I'm going to go. Or if you need to sit down because you feel yourself getting more aggravated, you feel yourself getting more stressed, but you're not listening to your body. So everything's telling you to slow down, but you insist on being hard-headed and ignoring it. And then in that, you might push people away. So take time for you, because outside of God, like, you're the next person in line. You can't feed other people if you're not being yourself. So with all that being said, as the plane is landing, I really thank you for sitting in this journey with me, and I see you on the next flight. Of course, keep God first, and I'll see you on the next one.